So welcome to another War Game Review from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we are doing our
Keep going.
first impressions of Paths of Glory from GMT Games.
Not a laughing matter. We're laughing about something else. I'm laughing about something else.
So, we played this for the very first time.
What took us so long?
Today.
What in the heck took us so long?
Yeah, it's a question I will ask myself every day for the rest of my life. So, this is a World War I grand strategy game.
Yes.
It's 2 players, point-to-point movement, card-driven game. So, it has, fits in a lot of different categories there. It's designed by Ted Racer, who is a prolific designer.
A genius.
And
We've played
also,
several of his games we love.
And is also like a World War I aficionado as well.
Yes.
He might be remiss he's a very humble man, but
yeah.
He's made a lot of World War I games and knows what he's talking about, basically.
Yeah.
So this was on our shelf of shame for a very long time.
It's now off.
I got a copy of this a number of years ago.
Yeah.
And it just sat on my shelf. You got
the deluxe edition.
Yeah, I've got like the 4th printing from like 2010 or something like that.
This is like the 6th printing deluxe edition from a couple of years ago.
So you've had it for 3 years. I think I've had it for 4. I think I got mine a year before you did. I got it in like a trade, and then there we got this. Wow, great. So we've had 2 copies of this for at least 4 years. One each.
Doubly shameful.
One at each of our houses. Like we did a Shelf of Shame video a couple of years ago, and this was on it, and everyone was like, "You what, mate?"
Yeah, that was bad.
So I'm very glad to just like check a box to say, yeah, we've kind of dipped a toe into this thing.
Well, and that's just it. We literally played the introductory scenario.
Yes.
We have talked about it. This month we're trying to do kind of a marathon of World War I games.
Yes.
We are going to get this back to the table probably next month, maybe,
or the end of this month. Right. Kind of depends
because we want to play it again, and we want to go full balls to the wall campaign mode. Right? Yes. I want to play 14 hours of Paths of Glory. I do.
Yes.
Because this was so good.
Yeah, so
good.
This will just be some initial impressions. If you want to see how to play the game and see some rules,
I don't think we're going to do board.
No,
right?
You can either wait for a review we're going to put out at some point in the future, or there is a ton of videos out
this
there, right?
Game's been out forever.
This game is considered a classic. It's been around a trillion printings, a couple of editions. This is the new... it's been around. There's a ton of stuff out there if you want to learn this game. Some really good videos.
Well, and while you're talking about that, this new map, I think, is amazing.
I love it.
We compared it and looked at it with the older map, because you have your copy.
Yes.
And there's just no comparison. It really makes it kind of drab and boring to a little interesting, a little bit of eye candy, because it has different colors.
Yeah, it's very clear.
I just think it's sharper.
It's nice. They did a very good job updating it compared to the old one as well.
And the comment we made when we pulled the old map out, I was like, "Oh, it's Wilderness War," or "Oh, it's Unhappy King Charles." It's that standard point-to-point movement that GMT used over and over and over again.
It's from those mid-2000s style. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
No, but this has been...
completely functional. This is also very nice.
It's been zhuzhed up. I mean, it really looks good.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, from that perspective, really amazing. Also a great game.
Yes.
Frankly.
So this game is more of a traditional card-driven game.
Yeah.
You have a hand of 7 cards each turn. You have split decks, so there's an ally deck and there's a central powers deck, and it's also seeded through the course of the war.
You do mobilization, you do a
limited war, and then a total war. But you have a hand of 7 cards. You've got options. Do I do the event? Do I do the ops? But there's also, do I do a strategic redeployment, or do I do replacement points? There's a number of options that you have. It's not just binaries, but I got my hand of cards. I need to do certain things. When do I do those? How do I maximize what I'm doing out here?
Yeah.
So that's nice to have a little bit of a traditional CDG core in there as well. But with all that being said, we were just talking about this. The game feels and plays like World War One.
Yeah.
You're
definitely.
You're encouraged to do things which make sense.
Right, that are historical, that follow the same historical timeline in some instances.
Or if you're trying to do something different, it feels like you have the correct limitations or the correct capacity to do those things.
Well, and let me go a little further with your statement. You're encouraged to do historical things.
Yeah.
The reality of this game is, because we talked about this, I feel like we've now played 2 big World War II strategic games. Lamps are going out, and then this. I'm sorry, did I say, gosh, World War I. And I played the Central Powers. You played the Allies both times. And we have seen a very similar result on the Western Front.
Yes.
Stalemate, right?
Yeah, after a very small advance.
Right. The Germans took Belgium pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It quickly, comparatively.
Yeah, and much further into France.
Yes.
It starts to get very challenging.
Yeah, and we got pushed back, and now the stacks are there. You've got the units on the board to really hold yourself. What I asked was, nothing really happened on the East Front. Not nothing. We had several attacks.
Had some skirmishes.
And had they gone differently, it would have changed the game out there. Fortunately, probably for both of us, it didn't go differently.
But it's hard to make it go differently. The way the CRT is set up with the combat factors that you have and the amount of damage you're capable of doing is limited.
You can't kill stacks outright out here.
Eliminating stacks with your small stacks is almost
very,
impossible.
very hard.
And the way that Ted's designed that, and that's been refined,
it's beautiful.
Yes, it really is.
Very, very beautiful, because it works very, very well.
And it keeps historical results and within reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's more often than not a historical outcome is going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's so rare that you'll make massive blitzkriegs and pushes. You just can't do that. It's not physically able to do it.
One of the comments I made to you as we were having that small discussion was, I felt like I really pushed hard on the West Front. Mm-hmm. I was trying to get Belgium, which I did. I was trying to crack France and really put a lot of pressure on you. I asked myself, boy, could I have siphoned a couple of units off, moved them across the continent, or across, Europe, and really started messing you up in Russia? The answer was, yeah, I could do that. But what's going to happen?
Yeah, your Western Front's going to fold like a deck chair in Belgium.
Yeah.
You don't have the forces to hold that whole front.
You don't have the numbers to hold it. I think that's one of the greatest things about both these games that we've played. Yeah. That limited force pool.
Yeah, and that's it's what takes a game like this to, it's what really separates wargaming from Ameritrash to me.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have an unlimited number of forces.
Axis and Allies, you just keep buying units.
Yeah.
Right? You put chits underneath them, and you buy 15 units.
It's all that your units are meaningless within any historical context.
Here they mean everything.
You're limited by the population and the fighting capacity of your country.
A live body in the form of a counter on the map is vital in certain instances. Right here, we've got a little line going. The German, because what did I have to do as the Germans? I used replacements to play that event card. Then I strategically moved them over so that I could plug these holes. And if I had not done that, Russia would have been in Berlin.
You start poking around, start losing victory points here and there. Yeah.
So I love that concept. I love how it models that you can't do all in and ignore. You've got to dabble out here. You got to have some units moved around. I brought some of my Austro-Hungarian units out to try to plug holes, and I feel like I did an okay job. Now you're going to start getting more units because we were looking at the cards coming the next year.
And if you don't deal with the Serbian issue, you got to get those guys dealt with so that you can bring those forces up. If you don't, it's just they're going to be tied up.
I don't know how to deal with those guys though. They're not that great, but they're not terrible.
So do you commit extra Austro-Hungarian guys down there to deal with it quickly and then move back? It's hard to do that.
Very hard to do. Contrasting this with Lamps Are Going Out, I was able to do that. I took out Serbia because of the cool events that I had and the extra artillery that made you roll more dice.
But it was still a commitment. You'd failed a couple times up until then. You're like, okay, now.
And I thought to myself, I really got to do it. But I look down there, I'm like, oh, dang, I don't really have much down there.
Yeah.
It is a limiting factor by the resources that you have. You only have a certain amount of bodies. Yeah. The other thing we really liked about this game was this action, your action chart where you couldn't do certain actions multiple times in a row.
Yes.
Some of these ones on the bottom you could do as many times as you wanted.
Yes.
But you can only do a certain amount of replacement point cards.
Yeah, you couldn't do a replacement point twice in a row.
Yeah.
So you can't say, I'm doing replacement points, and then it's telling you, I'm doing more replacement points.
Yeah.
You have to do something else in between those two things.
So that requires planning.
Yeah, and then the reinforcements, each nation within your faction can only play one reinforcement card each hand.
Yep. Which reinforcement cards are bringing an army out from your pool.
So you draw that hand of cards and it's 4 Russian reinforcements. So you're like, sweet, I got all these reinforcements. You can use one of those.
Yeah, 1 or 2 because
everything else, but like you can only use one for the reinforcements.
Yeah, right.
It's everything else you got to use for ops or replacement points or other
So it's
things.
that concept of you really got to plan your hand out. You got to think about what you want to accomplish. To me, that is what the essence of a CDG is. It's understanding, here's what I've got, here's what I can do, and here's what I got to do. And I love that about these games. The planning in this one is a little insane. It's really important.
It's very important.
And that management of those resources as well. Those replacement points are critical.
And one thing I also like is that you have a hand of 7 cards, you're only playing 6 of them.
Yes.
So whilst your planning is like very key, you got 6 cards.
Yeah.
It's like
you don't have a lot of actions.
Yeah, I've played a lot of other games where I want to pull my hair out.
Yeah.
Because the planning's so intense. Here, like, you know, and it comes back to World War One, right? Mm-hmm. We're gonna play a whole season of World War One.
Yeah.
And within that, you're gonna attack once,
maybe twice. Because outside shot at 3 times, but that is not going to happen very often.
Yeah, it's just...
You just don't have the resources to do that.
Yeah, everyone can only attack once anyway, but you can only do so many attacks because so many of our other cards are going to bringing on new guys, doing replacement points, doing an emergency strategic redeployment because like, oh no, moving guys around, preparing for those attacks, doing a cool event that you have. All of a sudden, you've got one card to do some opposite attacks with.
Yeah.
And so, I just... And that's what it was like.
Yeah.
You weren't making a big push every 2 weeks. You just weren't doing it.
Yeah.
And I just
it was
love
slow and plodding.
that the game gives you that. I was worried, honestly, when we started playing. So I'm like, it's just going to be like, play a card, chuck a bunch of dice. Play a card, chuck a bunch of dice. And that makes the game really long. You don't do that.
Nope.
You're attacking with 2 out of your 6 cards at best.
Yeah.
The other 4, you're doing things which don't take very long, but do require some thought, but playing them out. And so the game... I felt the game moved along reasonably. We played it for a long time.
Yeah. But we were trying to learn it and trying to discuss strategies and what we should and shouldn't be doing as well.
But like, if I'm going to play it, we played this, we learned for a little bit, we played this for 4 hours, and we did 3 turns. We're so slow. Which is very slow.
It's terrible.
But like...
But in our defense, we had a lot of conversation about... And I love that about when we play these games, because we do that... I want to win, but...
It's a 3-turn introductory scenario. You don't get a medal for winning this.
No, you don't.
Right? This
I don't get to write it on the chalkboard.
It doesn't go in the Hall of Fame of wins.
But we want to figure out what should be done.
We discuss a lot of strategy. Well, if I make this attack, what are the consequences?
Yeah.
Or if I try to do this, or let me understand the supply rules if I try to cut someone off. So it takes us that extra... And we had to learn the rules. Yep. I had not read the rules beforehand, so I apologize for that. But... we got it down to a good clip. This is still going to be a 12-hour game to play the whole thing.
I don't
if we start
doubt that at all. Yeah.
But it's not a slow 12 hours. A hand goes by quite quickly. I was surprised.
Well, I think when you play this...
and you get into it.
When you play it a couple of times, the game will get much, much quicker.
Because some games you're like, this is going to be 12 hours, and like it feels like it. This one's
going to be quick.
I was very happily surprised that things were moving.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was just a conception I had. I was happy and surprised that I was like, it moves along, which was a very big positive for me as well.
The other thing I really liked about it, once again, I'm trying to contrast it to Lamps Are Going Out that we played, which we really liked.
Yeah, people are going to ask it all the time, which one should I get?
Well, that's a little bit quicker game, but it's still long.
Yeah, it's not...
This one's a little deeper.
Yeah, that one's simpler to learn.
Yeah.
Which is also very nice, right?
Yeah.
That fits a niche. You can play that with... this is a bit more intense.
Yeah,
You have
it is.
CRTs and combat factors. The other one doesn't have that.
And I think that I enjoyed the crunchiness of the CRT here.
Yeah.
You have two different CRTs, one for your cores.
Yes.
Your core, your core units.
If you've just got the little guys.
Yeah, the little guys. And you have for your armies, which as long as there's one army in a stack, you might have two core there. You're going to be rolling on that better table.
Yeah.
I really like that. A lot of times we sat there and looked at it. I could get 15 power, sometimes as high as 17 in a combat. And you asked yourselves when you looked at the results, it was marginally better.
The difference is so minimal at those really high ends.
So you had to ask yourself, am I really going to commit, or do I want to break off and do another attack?
Yeah, do I
else?
do two attacks?
Yep.
Or do I do the flank attack if I'm available, right?
Which was very cool. That flank attack concept was cool.
Yeah, you can sacrifice the combat factors of a unit to get a +1 on a die roll, and that die roll was a 50-50 otherwise. And if you can pull it off, then you do this flank attack, in which case you do all your attacks and damage. They take all their losses.
Then they attack. So they may go from, say, 12 combat factors down to 8 or 7, which reduces how many losses you're going to take.
But if you cock up that roll,
they attack you first.
Yeah, your flank attack was in disarray.
Yeah.
They attack you, you take your losses, then you attack.
So it's a risk.
So if you don't do any of that, combat's normally simultaneous, but it's, there's a couple little options to help you figure out, I've got 14 combat factors, but I've got one here. 15 combat factors does me nothing.
Yeah, right.
But the flank attack
does a lot.
There's a little element of risk, but if I could pull it off, makes a big difference.
So I loved that CRT. I love that concept of the flank attack. There also were other DRMs. Some of the combat cards you have, you can play some of your cards that have CC on them as combat events. Some of mine gave me like a +1 DRM. They weren't huge.
And they've, I don't know, quite rare. I had one that gave me a modifier in combat, and it was for the Serbians.
Okay, I think I had 2 that gave me modifiers. The other one, combats were like a strategic withdrawal, where I kind of shrug off a loss and move back.
Yeah, with a small unit, you kind of pull back.
Yeah.
But you're not forced back 2 spaces.
Right. I don't know. I thought the CRT was well done. I liked the fact that there were 2. I liked the different modifiers with the flank attack. It just worked. It just really worked. And, terrain is also a big thing in this game. There are mountains, forests, swamps, and those matter. And I like that.
Yeah, it's a column shift here or there, and it stops breakthrough advances and things like that.
So you can really use the map to your advantage.
Yeah.
You can and one of the comments you made early on about, I totally agreed with you. You said something about the map. Do you remember what you said?
It's Europe. I don't remember what I said.
You were like, the map is fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
The points, how they connect, how they don't connect.
We were talking about Antwerp.
Yeah. and it's just, this game, when it was developed many, 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 many years ago, these changed 3 and 4 times. Not once here, but over here and over. And it, to me, it's fascinating. Point-to-point games are very interesting in that regard.
Yeah, the way that they put things in when not everything's attached to everything else that is nearby, and how those choices are made. Usually, it's like based on a map, but sometimes it's also like to allow certain big attacks with multiple areas into one area.
Yep.
Or it limits that. You can only attack with maybe one area or 2.
Yeah.
The Western Front's really cool for that stuff. The Eastern Front, like a lot of these games in World War One, is it's the blow, counter blow.
Yeah.
It's so
I attack you here, I open myself up.
Every move you're overextending yourself, which is why the lines and borders are drawn where they were between the countries.
Yep.
And it feels that. Every move is a risk.
Yep.
And it was a fairly swirling mass in the early war on that front, and it plays out that way if you do that.
Yeah. I really fascinating. Unfortunately, with the introductory scenario, we didn't really get to the Near East.
Yeah, we didn't have any of, because it's just the first 3 turns, so we didn't have any of the other minor powers.
Italy didn't come in.
Yeah, no one's activating. So
Turkey
I want to see more of that.
Get involved.
Want to get into the new cards as well from the other deck. So there's a ton more for us to explore in this, and I'm very excited to explore.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
No doubt.
This game was not as complicated as I thought it was going to be to learn.
Well, that was one thing I know as we prepared this week to play it, and I think we announced it early today that we were going to, and people were like, well, you gotta, you're starting at night, huh? Well, yeah, we started at 6 o'clock.
Well, yeah, because we were never going to have time to finish a long game.
In one evening.
We weren't planning that.
But a lot of people kept saying, well, it's just really complex. It's really complex. And I'm like, there's some complexity here.
Sure.
But if you're a war gamer, this should be comfortable for you.
Yeah,
and it really should.
Obviously, we're one of the exceptions to the rules, I think. We've played a lot of games.
Yeah.
A lot of people are new to the hobby or don't play as many games as we do.
It would be complex.
Right. And so there's, if this was your first game, yeah, all right. There's a lot of concepts here. I've played a lot of CDGs. I played a lot of point-to-point movement.
Mm-hmm.
I've played a lot of games that have combat factors, loss factors.
Yeah. Nothing felt out of the ordinary or really uncomfortable. There were some rules about like the retreat that were a little different.
Yeah. Again, we've got a lot of experience in a lot of different types of games.
Yeah.
So I was very comfortable learning this, and it was I don't know, it was pretty simple to learn. Honestly, for me,
I don't want to come off as elitist. We're just so good. No, we're not. This just felt comfortable because we've played many, many, many games like this.
Yeah.
We love CDGs. It's one of our favorite style of war games. Many of you are gasping right now, but we love CDGs. This is really a good CDG because it has those combat factors. It has the CRT. You got great counters on the board. I don't know. I really enjoyed this.
I mean,
I have to ask myself. We've only played about a half a dozen real World War I games.
Yeah, not many, honestly.
I still really like Fields of Despair a lot.
But that's why we're doing our Guns of August event.
Yeah.
And that's why we're playing all these, to get some more exposure to these.
This is really good, man.
Really
good.
Having just dipped our toe into this, I can instantly see why this has been around for so long, why people revere it, basically.
Yeah.
There's a number of people who are just like, this is the World War I grand strategy game.
It's pretty dang good.
You're like, it's a time commitment, but absolutely it is.
Yeah, it is very good.
It's excellent, frankly.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I would say. Excellent. But I still really like Fields of Despair.
Fields of Despair is very, very good.
That was such a good game. But yeah, I would say this is probably moving into that top tier. Fields of Despair is in that top tier.
So we do plan on playing more of this in a couple weeks' time.
Probably 3 or 4 weeks. We need to play some other.
I want to make sure we actually get some of it, because I could play this every weekend for the rest of the month.
Well, I mean, it would be a blast.
I would have no problem doing it. I would have fun every single time we sat down for a session to move the campaign forward.
Yep.
But I don't want to, I want to, there's a lot of other games I got to play.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the point of this event. But if this was like the only World War I game that you owned, you would not be missing out on much, honestly.
No, it's pretty good.
It's excellent.
It's pretty good.
Right? I want to play it again right now. I want to keep playing the rest of the night. That's how I feel about this.
It's like 12:30, I think, and I want to keep playing. But, man, we've been playing late recently. We've been playing on Friday night because I've got so much going on Saturday.
Yes.
But I love this. Really enjoyed it. Really want to sink our teeth into how the other countries, Italy and Turkey. And
you want to get the campaign going. I want to have more of that stuff, because as soon as the Italians activate and they start pressuring the Austro-Hungarians, that's a whole nother spanner in the works.
And if I don't have Serbia knocked out by then, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, or if the Romanians come in, the Bulgarians, things just start to spread. You start getting into total war. I mean, just fascinating stuff.
It's interesting. Lots of pressure, and I loved it. I absolutely loved every bit of it.
Yes. So, Paths of Glory. Yes. There is just everything to like about this game.
Double yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We're going to explore more of this. You will see more of this from us at a later date.
Yeah.
But I am so glad that we were able to finally get this to the table, part of our Guns of August event. This is like, if it's not available from GMT, it's almost always on reprint. They like never don't have it in the cycle.
Well, and I'm trying to figure out, can you get this pretty easily? I guess I didn't check before.
I'm pretty sure you can. I've seen it on Amazon.
Okay.
I've seen it on other websites and stuff.
Go on BGG, you're gonna see people that don't want it anymore, or didn't like it.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be selling it.
It might not be the most deluxe edition, but
right.
I've got an older edition, still got a mounted map, still cards in it.
You know, the only thing I don't like about the deluxe editions, and we've talked a lot about this should have been a 3-inch box.
Oh, yeah.
The deluxe still came in the 2-inch box. You've got a counter tray in yours, and I don't think your lid fits on it, right?
It's extremely tight.
Yeah. I need to put mine in a counter tray. I had them in baggies. I just put it in a 3-inch box.
Anytime you've got a CDG, you've got a mounted mat board and a counter tray, you basically can't fit anything else.
Yeah, it's tough.
But
yeah, I love this. I loved it. Loved it.
Yes.
Loved the new map. Loved it.
Yeah, the new map's big winner. So, Paths of Glory, GMT Games. There's more of this coming in the future. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.